Georgia's biggest weakness on offense going into the spring is pretty clear. It's the offensive line, and it's a group that I have a lot of questions about. First one is left tackle. We saw what Jamaree Salyer can do there and play left tackle at a high level. That's what he did last year. He did a very good job. But I'm standing on the hill that guy should be playing left guard. I've been covering him for 5 years, 6 years almost, ever since he was a freshman in high school. I know what he can do at guard, and I think he can be a possible first-round pick at guard. I've said that for years now. But if he's left guard, who's your left tackle? Is it a guy like Xavier Truss, who played there at the Peach Bowl? Wasn't great, but he got better as the game went on. Is it one of the young guys, Amarius Mims, Broderick Jones? Big question mark. I have another one. It's at center. Obviously, Trey Hill left, trying to play in the NFL, entered the NFL draft. That'll happen next month. But who's going to be behind him? Warren Erickson is a guy who's been around for a few years now. This is his 4th year. He's a guy that Matt Luke mentioned at least 3 times earlier this week in the media session. Is it Cedric Von Pron Granger, a solid 4-star prospect from Louisiana who signed in the 2020 class? Very good player, number 1 center out of high school. Or is it Clay Webb, a former 5-star that Sam Pittman signed? He's been around for a few years now. Always tough to replace a center. Someone's got to do it. Big question mark there for me. And then, of course, right guard. Ben Cleveland also will not be on the team. He will try his hand after graduating at Georgia in the NFL. But who's going to be your guy there? Again, could it be Broderick Jones? Could it be Tate Rowledge? 2 very talented guys. And the left tackle position isn't open. Neither is right tackle because that's where Warren McClendon is. A lot of questions for me. And, of course, Kirby Smart was asked about the offensive line earlier this week. As it relates to the starting depth chart going into the season, he said, quote, "Those are things that will come up in the spring. We are really focused on what's between our ears right now, not what our bench press is or what position we're going to play. Those things will play out based on what other guys can do or can't do. Warren McClendon's development has to be at tackle because he plays tackle, right? But he played guard 10-15% of his extra snaps because you have to be able to play 2 positions. We've always asked him to be able to snap the ball and play center. So they're obviously looking for some versatility. It helps when you have guys who can play multiple positions because at the end of the day, Matt Luke is trying to put the best 5 guys out there. So if you can play multiple positions, that's only going to help you." Smart added, "Where they start probably won't matter as much as how they will perform from a standpoint of leadership, toughness, composure, how the other guys play, what gives us the best vibe. We're not really concerned about where they are starting at." Seems like they want a guy who is a veteran. A guy like Warren Erickson, who has been here for 4 years. Justin Schaefer in his 5th year. Jamaree Salyer in his 4th year. This is going to be a veteran group no matter what. Of course, Smart talked about Jamaree a little more. Jamaree obviously worked in at guard, Smart added. He has the ability to play guard. He's proven he can play tackle in the SEC at a high level. If we need him to do that, he can do it. If we need him to play inside, he'll be able to do that. Our focus has really not been on what position each guy is going to play, but more about how we get the best out of each person. A couple of those guys are leaders on the team, so it's not just getting the best out of them, it's getting the best out of everybody else. Can they hold guys accountable? Can they set the standard and demand the standard? That's kind of the approach to the offseason. They're going to need Jamaree Salyer not only to play left tackle or left guard, but from a leadership role. I've seen him do it before, and I know he can do that for Georgia's offensive line this year. Again, this is a veteran group. Justin Schaefer is going to be a guy who they lean on to bring some leadership to the offensive line. And then Warren Erickson is a guy who I saw in the playoffs, won a state championship with North Gwinnett. I watched him play multiple times through that playoffs. I know what he can do. He's another guy who can bring some leadership, and he got some playing time last year in the Peach Bowl. I think this is a guy that Matt Luke likes a lot, and I think he's in the driver's seat for maybe a guard position or a center spot. Again, there's plenty of talent. We saw how many guys they brought in the 2020 class. Broderick Jones, 5-star. Tate Rowledge, 5-star. Devin Willock, big monster guy they pulled from New Jersey. He's another guy who could really surprise some people. You have Chad Lindbergh, who came from Oklahoma, a guy who was coveted by many programs across the country. And then you have just so many guys. Again, Clay Webb is a guy who I saw in camp a lot. I don't think I can put on my 2 hands how many reps he lost that I saw. I thought he was a 5-star as well, and he's always a guy who I thought might be able to surprise some people. But at the end of the day, I do think Georgia's offense is going to be driven on how good the offensive line is. They're replacing 2 starters, not the end of the world, But I'm starting to think that this unit could be better than last year's, but it's all going to depend on that left tackle spot, I think. As Georgia's best looking offensive line is one with Jamari Sawyer at left guard, not at left tackle. They need someone to emerge there. I don't think it's going to be Amarius Mims, although it could be him in 2022. But I do think they need Xavier Truss to be the guy they think he could be at left tackle. Find your right guard. There's plenty of options at center. I think they're going to be just fine there. But overall, if JT Daniels is going to have a Heisman Trophy type of season, he's going to need the offensive line to be very good. The way they're going to run the ball, the way they want to run the ball, actually, they're going to need the offensive line to be a little bit more consistent. Remember, there were 3 games last year where Georgia just could not run the ball. Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Cincinnati. They want to pound the rocks still as much as they can, especially in the second half. In the fourth quarter, they did a great job of that last year, but it still wasn't consistent enough for a lot of people. So we'll see if they improve there. But overall, I do think this unit is going to be very, very good. And I think if Georgia wants to have an offense like LSU did in 2019, Alabama last year, it's all going to be based on how good the offensive line is. They've got the quarterback to do it. They've got the stable of running backs. They have the receivers. They have the tight ends. If Georgia wants to win a national championship this year, I do think ultimately on offense, it's going to come down to the offensive line. Guys, thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next video coming up right now, and I will see you over on the website.